The tins are usually one of the most impactful sets of the year for common charity. But this year that's a pretty high bar. Does the 2025 Mega Pack tin live up to expectations? Or is it a flop like last year's? In terms of raw numbers, there are 50 new commons, which is a lot closer to the 57 of 2023 and 2022 than the 3 of 2024, which is a promising start. So, will any make a splash in common charity? White Sardine is a level 2 fish that can send another copy of itself, from deck to yard to special summon itself, from hand but locks you into waters. It also can become a tuner when special summoned from the graveyard. Fishborg Harpooner is a level 4 tuna that can reveal itself in a water to special summon one of them and discard the other. If it's used as synchro material, it can non-targeting negate one of your opponent's monsters. Area the Water Channeler can discard herself in a water to search a water with a higher level, and subsequently locks you into water monster effects. This means it searches Coelacanth, potentially triggering Dragoons on the way to search Diva, to make Abyss Keeper to get the Coelacanth on the field, and the world is your oyster, or would be if Dweller wasn't banned. But there are other water payoffs in the sea, like Abyssgaius, Dragite, Arcathes, and Penguin Brave? Hey, maybe this newly downshifted Link 3 is a payoff. Mermail King Neptibist requires 2+ monsters including a sea creature, protects waters it points to from targeting, and, when a water monster is sent for cost, can add or equip an Abyss equip from deck or grave, so can theoretically give you a chump spell negate after you use Abyssgaius. But Abyss Keeper can't be used as link material to turn its link summoned, so it just seems better to try and go for a board of Abyssgaius, Dragite, and another water synchro. Raid Raptor Bloom Vulture can special summon itself and another Raid Raptor from hand if you have no non-winged beast monsters. Or, if it's in the graveyard while you control no monsters, can special summon itself and another level 4 or lower Raid Raptor. You also can only special summon Darks the turns you use either of the effects. This is an important extender for Raid Raptor, a deck that was previously pretty alright. Being Dark locked isn't ideal, but you can still get to Raid Raptors' payoffs, including recent edition Valon off of Rum Launch, Nightmare, Code Igniter into Decode, and or Redoer. Unfortunately, they didn't reprint Brave Strix, so you can't reliably get to the back row outside of Mimicry Lanius, meaning you have to sacrifice access to it, or lock yourself into Raid Raptors in some lines. Magispector got 2 cards downshifted. Wind specials a Magispector from hand or grave, or if you tributed a Wind spellcaster from deck. Yamarashi specials itself if you control a Magispector as a quick effect, and on normal or special, sets a Magispector spell from grave. These cards are interesting, but not enough to really make Magispector do more than search a counter trap. But it does make them more consistent at doing so. Performapal Odd-Eyes Resolver is a Performapal and an Odd-Eyes. As a scale, they're poly for dragons. They can special summon themselves from hand when your Pendulum monster battles a monster and protects yours from that battle. On field, you can fusion summon using it and other cards on field or in scale. This could be an easier way to get into Vortex in Pendulum decks that aren't on Melodious. Pendulum Witch is the only high-scale Pendulum monster in the format with a scale of 8. As a scale, if the Fusion, Synchro, or Xyz you control is destroyed by battle or opponent's card effect, you can put a pen with the same type from your deck into the extra deck. If it's normal or pendulum summoned, it can pop itself and a scale to add a level 4 or lower pendulum monster. And if it is destroyed in the monster zone, can scale itself. This allows you to set up scales, all while triggering the on-destruction effects of cards like Performapal Plushfire on a card that is searchable by Duelist Alliance. Goblin Biker Grand Bash is Tensu and level modulation for goblins. Troika Gruyare is a generic rank 3 that can bail you out of certain situations, being able to detach a material from either field to rotate a monster that was summoned, and being once per turn Utopia. Also, while there are 3 material on field, goblins can attack directly. This just seems worse than Jaja. Azamina Debtors is an interesting addition to Sol Erisichthon control, letting you send or even chain to one of your Sinful Spoil traps to summon Sol Erisichthon, and being able to summon back Sol if it's in grave. But, more importantly for this deck, is there's a new, pretty okay ad off of Sinful Spoil's Subdual. Void Burial the Dragon Undertaker. It's a 3k with illusion text, and when a monster your opponent controls is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon it from your hand. Or if it's on the field when this happens, Venom swamps something for 1500. This is a hand crap, but it can disrupt your opponent's plays, if they involve linking and or synchroing twice. Melodious is able to play under this because before their second link summon, they already have an Omni Negate online, but they will have to spend Sidekick to get over it. Staying on the illusions, Mirage Mirror Force lets you special summon an illusion from a hand or yard when your opponent declares an attack, and bounces the attacking monster. If your illusion is removed by your opponent, you can banish this from the yard to special summon an illusion from hand or yard. This is non-targeting, non-destructive removal that likely gives you 2 bodies over the course of a game, but it doesn't work into either of the top 2 decks a lot of the time. Sulu Hat-Trick is an illusion trap monster that, when it's summoned, negates face-up cards your opponent controls up to the number of illusions you control until end of turn. Being able to stop an ignition effect or continuous effect can be very useful, especially when it gives you a monster that can't be run over by battle, letting you convert it into a trap redoer. On the subject of trap monsters, Kuebiko can negate monster effects on the field that target cards you control by setting itself, and if it was the biggest monster's effect, bounce it. But because you need to summon it before having the effect, it's pretty easy to play around. Terrors of the Afterroot is a normal trap that special summons a monster from your opponent's graveyard to their field, then banishes a monster they control, then returns one of their banished monsters to the graveyard. This lets you out non-targetable indestructible monsters, or disrupt cards trying to access monsters on field, in graveyard, or in banishment. On a following turn, you can banish it from the graveyard and shuffle a level 1 monster from your graveyard into the deck to set 1 Terrors of the Root trap, giving you access to another copy of itself, or Overroot, which can also out back row. Psychic Processor is another extender for Psychic Machine or Cybers decks, banishing itself from field to special summon 1 or 2 such monsters from hand. It also adds itself back to hand during the standby phase after it's banished, so you get access to this effect repeatedly over the game. Neat, but doesn't really solve the problems Psychic or Cybers decks have, and while it does help with some problems Machines decks have, it's not really the ideal solution as a higher investment pre-extender. Psychic Arsenal allows you to target a Psychic monster, lose 200 times its level, and add a Machine monster from your deck to your hand with a higher level and the same attribute. On a subsequent turn, you can target a banished Psychic and a Machine, add 1 to hand, and bottom the other. This could be useful at some point, but I don't think there's currently a home for it in Common Charity. Sunset Beat is Pac-Man support, allowing you to pop a card if a monster you control is turned face down, and burning your opponent if your flipped monster is flipped face up. Each effect is once per turn, allowing you to double up on advantage from cards like Guru. Ascend was one of the world premiere archetypes last year, and it's built around 2 cards, Obsidian the Ascend City, and Vados the Eruption Dragon of Extinction. We got neither of them at common, so Ascend are homeless and jobless, however, they can still do some things. Priestess on summon can add Extinguishing, which can send and then add back a high-level Dark Pyro, but extra locks you into Pyros. Then, fuse for a Pyro using hand or field, meaning you have a 1-card Embers of the Ascend at 2900 that adds a field spell back on summon. If you have a fusion substitute monster as well, you can make Vados the Dragon of Endless Darkness, an untargetable, indestructible Harpy's Feather Duster that can send a face-up Ascend card to destroy a card your opponent activates, or make Gaia Prominence, the Fierce Force, who can discard a card to negate and destroy a monster activating in hand or grave, and have a card to pitch for it. They downshifted 2 important payoffs for insect, plant, and or reptile decks in Ragnarika. Chain Coils is a Link 4 that can turn off hand effects after your opponent activates an effect. Stag Sovereign is a Link 5 that can pop 2 after a monster is summoned from your opponent's deck or extra deck, and each of these can get back on field by shuffling back an insect, plant, or reptile from field. Wicked Butterfly is an extender for these types, discarding itself to special summon 1 from hand, and if it's banished, will draw cards during the end phase equal to the number of Ragna types you have. These cards are strong payoffs for insect, plant, and or reptile decks, and have inspired people to explore a Ragnarika combo strategy, featuring some of the strongest engines in these types, like Naturia, Predaplant, or Crawler, to make big interactive boards featuring both new links. Ninja got 2 of their earlier support cards downshifted. Yellow Ninja special summons a level 4 or lower ninja from hand or normal or flip, but locks you into ninjas from the extra deck for the rest of the turn. White Dragon Ninja protects your spell traps from destruction, but can only be special summoned by ninjutsu arts. These don't really help the deck in any meaningful way. Pyrite Knight is a level 5 Earth Warrior that can bounce an Earth or Fire Warrior you control to special summon itself from hand or grave, and summon a token to your opponent's field. It can special summon a warrior from hand during the battle phase. Lord of the Missing Barrows is a light fiend that can special summon itself from the hand by banishing a monster, a spell, and a trap from your graveyard. And if it is summoned from hand, it can banish a monster and 2 back row from your opponent's field and or grave. Interesting breaker for fiend decks, but probably not worth maining. Assault Synchron is a level 2 tuner extender that dings you for 700 and locks you to synchros while it's on the field via its own effect. You can banish it from graveyard to summon back a dragon synchro that was just tributed or banished. This will be an interesting card to look out for when the legendary 5Ds decks drop in November, but for the moment it's mostly just another tuner extender you can play. Though it can potentially let you Stardust Dragon twice in a turn or something. Danger Jackalope gets its first common print, meaning we now have every good danger monster. Sorry Dogman and Ogopogo. Though the issue still remains that it's hard to use the material the danger engine provides efficiently. Most of the extra deck playmakers in the format are rank 4 Xyz monsters. Still an important card going forward though. Denglong, first of the Yangzing, is a level 5 synchro tuner that is pretty unsupported in CC. None of its search targets really do much, and there aren't any monsters it can summon. However, its second effect can send a worm monster from deck to the graveyard to change its level to the monster's, which could be quite useful for Tenyi in hands where you open Adhara and some level 4s to get Ashona into rotation. Node Ryziel is a level 4 fire tuner that can special summon itself if you control an Xyz monster or have one in grave, but extra locks you to rank 4s. While on field, you can send a card from hand or field to the grave to special summon back a differently named Ryziel from the grave, in defense with its effects negated. Pam Ryziel sucks, because it must first be special summoned by shuffling a Ryziel monster from hand or grave into the deck. It then rank 4 locks you while on field. When it battles, it can Foolish a level 4 to gain its attack. Ryziel Plugin is a quick play spell that can special summon a Ryziel or rank 4 from grave or banishment. Then can attach a Ryziel card from deck to a rank 4 you control. It locks you into attacking only with rank 4 monsters. Ryziel Plasma Hole is a whole normal trap that targets cards your opponent controls up to the number of Ryziel Xyz you control to destroy them. It can be banished from the grave to perform an Xyz summon using a Ryziel. And Ryziel Duo Drive, a generic rank 4 monster that can attach a Ryziel monster from grave on summon. During the main phase, it can attach 2 materials from monsters you control, and add 2 Ryziel cards with different names. It also boosts your monsters, and shrinks your opponents by 100 for each material it has. These cards allow you to turn 2 level 4 monsters into a combination of Extension and Disruption, which is extremely powerful in what was already a pretty rank 4-centric format. But there's more than may be immediately obvious if you haven't been keeping up with Advanced for the last year. Duo Drive detaches for effect, meaning it will trigger cards like Lunalight Yellow Martin. And, if it is negated, the monster remains under it. That can be a liability sometimes, but you can make it in the EMZ and link it off for Gravity Controller, if you aren't already locked. And, linking it off allows you to pitch a card from hand or field to bring it back with Node Ryziel. Ryziel Plugin can attach a Ryziel trap from deck to Timeteeth Redoer, allowing you to set up the stack effect, and getting Plasma Hole or Mass Driver's graveyard effects, allowing you to quick Xyz, or banish a card from your opponent's graveyard respectively. You can send Ryziel Plasma Hole with Rafflesia if you control Duo Drive, pop a card your opponent controls, and attach Plasma Hole to a rank 4. And it doesn't even count as activating Plasma Hole, so you can still use its effect on field. This engine will probably be the most important thing to come out of this set, with decks like Suship, Onomat, Traptrix, Hero, and Lunalight being able to consistently set up powerful boards by weaving through Duo Drive. So, is this year's tin impactful for Common Charity? Probably. Ryziel seems impactful for most rank 4 focused strategies. Lunalit's ability to use Ryzeal effectively makes it a lot closer to Melodious' power level. Its boards aren't as oppressive, but it's more resilient to disruption. Duo Drive is a big negation magnet, but any Chip Tiger combo can get you to another rank 4 even if it's stopped. It has better recovery and an easier time breaking boards too. Ragnarok Pile could potentially make its way into tier 2, but it'll take a lot of brewing and fine-tuning, though it is being worked on. A pen deck that isn't just Melodious could be interesting, though it might be correct to still be on Melodious, even as mostly interaction bait. And Soul Era 6th on control feels more real as a version of Fiend Pile, with better illusions to play and more access to the boss. This set doesn't overhaul the format, but the format does continue to evolve. So, while I was recording this, the new FNL list dropped. Moon of the Closed Heaven being gone hurts Fiend decks quite a lot. The Hamon engine no longer converting into Aerial Eater to send a Fiend from deck makes decks a lot less consistent. You're now a lot more reliant on Tour Guide or Puyo plus Monster to get your plays started. Getting back Fiendsmith's Lacrima is cold comfort in this format, needing 3 light Fiends in your graveyard to do much of anything. Cyber's decks got shot in the knee because Splash Mage is banned now, which is even more annoying in CC because it was your best way to make a Cyber's Link 4 to turn on to Save Worm because our only Cyber's Link 4s require water material. King of the Feral Imps being banned sucks for Rept Pile decks. Mitsurugi Melodious is no longer playable. Similarly, Ragnarok decks had to focus more on plants and insects. Glow Up Bulb may facilitate that as a plant monster that can special summon itself from the grave. Linkaribo being back at 1 is helpful for a couple of decks, such as Backjack lists and Morphtronic, but Predaplant still can't use 2 Linkaribos to make Clock Lizard. Inclusion being limited hurts Crystron's consistency, resiliency, and splashability a little, while also making some lines more awkward. But the deck can search it and recur it. Solemn Judgment being limited is a pretty wide impact. A lot of decks did side 3 copies, and some control decks mained 3 copies. But there are other counter traps you can play like Strike or Dragon's Mind. Phantom Skyblaster is at 3, but again, there isn't really anything to convert the bodies into, especially with Moon being banned. Dragonic Diagram doesn't do much at the time of recording, but might do stuff post-Dude if we get the true support there. Morphing Jar is also now at 3, but the problems with flip monsters persist. If you want to play in this new format, check out the Common Charity Discord, where we're currently hosting signups for our bi-monthly-ish tournament series, the Common Charity Cup. Thanks for watching, go do the YouTube stuff, and come back for more Common Charity content.